Hello everyone and welcome back to the Houdini online class. In this video we're going to continue our discussion on networks with a focus on network paths. Now I know you might be thinking, I really wanted to jump over in Houdini and start building something. Well, I promise you, in this video, before it's over with, we will be inside of Houdini.
Cool.
We're not going to learn the user interface, not yet. We're not going to learn how to build things. Instead, we're going to be applying some of the things that we've learned in past videos and some of the things that we're going to learn in this video to just, kind of the mechanics of how a scene file works. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be extremely important. And it's going to play a very important part in learning the user interface properly. So this really is key stuff. So let's go ahead and jump back over here to my whiteboard now that everybody knows, we're going to get into Houdini a little bit in this video. Now, Houdini, in it you work, you save your scenes, and you have a file. It may be a HIP file or a HIP and C file for the non-commercial version. There we go. Okay. So let's say we create a file called my scene, and it's a .hip NC file. And of course, with this file, we are using, so let's say we've got different JPEGs, Targas, whatever it may be.
Okay.
We might have some sound files. We might have some geometry that we've rendered out, some external references, maybe a MIDI file. We can do all sorts of cool things. So here are all of these different things that are being referenced. They're being used inside our file. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, where do all of these things reside?
On the outside of your scene file?
On the outside of my scene file, where?
Throughout my hard drive.
Throughout, very good. Hopefully not throughout your hard drive.
Well, yeah.
Hopefully they've been organized into one place, but they are located in your file system. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now check this out. When working inside Houdini, you're going to find that everything is laid out like a file system. And This is very important to understand. Very important. Now, we've seen nodes, and we've seen parameters, and we've seen the chaining of nodes to create networks. And in the last video, we even went as far as to see that every network you create is always of a particular type.
Right.
It could be a POP network. It could be a SOP network. Now we're going to find that things can be organized or are organized in very unique ways, and you can actually push that a whole lot further in creating your own organization within the base organization that they first provide. That may sound a bit confusing. Bear with me. So let's start out simple. So we're talking about file systems, so let's pretend we have a root. And I'm going to start talking about Windows first, and then we're going to move over into the world of Houdini.
Okay.
So Windows, that means we're looking at a backslash. So there's our root. I'm not going to put any drive letters down. So just if you see a drive letter, pretend it doesn't exist. Okay. So this is at the root level, and if I do a directory listing, what am I going to get? I'm going to get a bunch of files and folders, right? Mm-hmm. So it might have a little file right here. Might have another little file right here. And then maybe we have a folder right here. And Terry, what does folders contain in a file system?
Well, they contain other files.
And
folders. Yeah, folders, files, pictures, whatever you want in there.
This is so basic that it's confusing.
It really is.
Bear with me, Terry.
It really
is. Bad. So let's say that this file is 12.txt. I have no idea. And this is 36.txt. I'm not very creative with names at the moment.
Okay.
And this folder is Windows.
Okay,
so that one you recognize, right?
Yes.
And if we were to go into the Windows folder and take a look, as you said, we'll find files and other folders.
That's right.
So let's say inside here we found a README file, because Windows has got to have a README file.
So many README files on my computer.
So we've got a README file, maybe another file that is, I don't know. Help me out here.
Like an image file.
An image file.
Like a splash screen or something.
Terry has an image called Terry.
That's
Not
right.
JPEG. In his Windows folder.
A picture of myself on my computer.
Oh, you love yourself. I understand. Now we're going to have another folder up under here.
Like a program file?
How about a system folder?
Ah, there you go.
So, because now we're getting into folders.
Mm-hmm.
So, system. And we can change directory into the system folder. So then if we were to get a directory listing, what are we looking at? We're looking at more files and folders. So maybe this guy right here is a.dll. Again, making stuff up. And this guy, maybe this file name is b.dll. Mm-hmm. And then so on and so forth. Now, the Windows folder itself, if we were to jump back up and continue, after that folder, the system folder, we could have another file. Maybe this is the calculator, calc.exe. So we got the calculator program file, as you mentioned a second ago, a program file. And all of this exists inside of Windows. Now, for those of you that are weak with operating systems and file systems in general, and I know right now probably most of the people watching this video are thinking, no, Buzz, that's not possible. Everybody understands files and file systems. And for those of you that pick up on what I'm talking about here and you understand the concepts as soon as I start talking about Houdini, please remember you can fast forward or even jump to the next video.
Right.
I am focusing on those people that don't have a good understanding for paths. And you'd be surprised. I've taught 3D for many years.
Yeah.
And I've had so many students come through that were so enthusiastic about learning a 3D application. Then you'd say, okay, so you need to take this texture and this texture off my drive over here and copy it into your My Documents, into up under whatever, project folder you've got set up.
Yeah.
And then they just give you that blank, glossy stare. It's like, ah.
And you don't even need to say anything. You just walk over and help them automatically.
Yes, exactly. So in this particular case, understanding structured file systems is really important because Houdini really uses this heavily. So let's start talking about paths right here. So if we were to refer directly to this very first file, what would its path look like? Well, it would be something along, and again, please remember, I am leaving off the drive letters and all.
Okay.
So it'd be like \12.txt. The next one would be \36.txt. Notice how these guys are we're starting at the root, and then we're moving into the file. Okay? Now let's get a little more interesting. Let's move down to Windows. So Windows is a folder. Now, let me give you another way to think about it. Windows is a container. This is a container.
Right.
That means it contains other folders and files. So our path is going to look like this. So if we were to jump down in it, we would say we would be down in Windows. And I could even go as far as to say / there. And if I said give me a listing, now I'm going to say see everything that it resides inside that Windows container, inside the Windows folder. So if on this very next line I wanted to take a look at README, its path would be what, Terry?
Be /Windows.
So Windows, okay.
/README.
README. Very good. Very nice.
Well, yeah.
And that is it, except there is an E there, I promise.
Yes,
all right.
privacy.
So, and of course, Terry.jpg, the picture that you love to look at every day,
right.
would also be \Windows \README, okay? Now, let's take a look. If we were to take a look at system, what would this look like, Terry?
Be /Windows.
Okay.
/System.
Slash
Catch
system.
up here.
Okay.
And then if you want anything within there.
So you can say \, and now we're looking at everything inside of it. And then so this would all repeat itself, as seen here. / what?
And then whatever you wanted, which is B or A.
Let's say A.dll.
DLL. Yeah.
Okay, so now we are looking at this guy right here. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Well, it's basic computer knowledge that everyone should have if they're watching this video.
Or if they're using a computer, period.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. So, file system. Why would we want to have something like this in Houdini? Well, let's think about it. Basically, now I'm going to come over here and start adding all sorts of layers and stuff just so I have room to draw and all.
Okay.
What if we were able to organize our geometry, all of our objects in one location? We were able to organize all of our, all of our particles into one particular location, etc. And that is what we do have the ability to do. Actually, let's do this. Let's have a little bit more fun. Let's start out with a scene.
Okay.
Da-na-na!
Hey, talented ball.
That's right. He's made his rounds. We've seen him in 3ds Max Fundamentals. We've seen him in the Maya Fundamentals, and it looks like he's going to be here in the Houdini Fundamentals. So, taking a look at our scene right here, what's going on? We have a ball. Okay. We have a stool. We have a microphone. So is that everything you see, Terry? Watch this. How about I actually see that the ball, we have some geometry. So, of course, for all of these guys, there's geometry that defines that stool.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so you're with me so far?
Yep.
All right, because for our viewers out there, they may not believe this, but this is true. I have not gone over this with you, and this is honestly new content for you.
I've never seen this before.
All right, next, I see materials that have been applied to each of these guys. So the ball has a material that has obviously a texture associated with it.
Right.
So material and material. Okay? Now, at the very beginning of this video, I told you guys how we've got a Houdini scene file and we have all of these external references. And those references, of course, are being stored in a file system. But inside of Houdini, everything is stored in what looks like a file system. So let's take a look at this. Let's undo those. So keep all of this in mind. Let's jump in here. Now, I have all sorts of little images set up to show you here. So just make do. So let's go ahead and switch over to a filing cabinet.
Nice.
So in this little filing cabinet right here, we can basically break up our stuff. And here's what I'm talking about. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and give myself a place to write, and I will just kill off everything in this layer right there. And make sure that that's selectable. Good. So inside here, objects. What's an object? Well, in most applications, 3D related, we think an object's all the geometry and everything else, right?
Right.
But it's not. An object really is, all right, a container. I'm going to start simple, and then it can grow from there. A container. So let's say that we had a piece of geometry that shows up inside our objects filing cabinet drawer here.
Okay.
So let's say that this guy is a ball. This piece of geometry, he's still a node. Okay, so you're with me there, right? Everything I draw here is going to be nodes.
Right.
So we've got this node, and he's got a series of parameters. And these parameters are going to say things like the translate X, translate Y, and translate Z. Okay? Now, he's a container node, though. So he's like a folder.
Okay.
So I can actually step down inside him, and inside him, I'll start finding other nodes. And these other nodes are all tied together. And I'm drawing one crazy network there and going into the side. That's pretty funny. We'll have it go into the top, too. So here we are. We're starting off with a piece of geometry. But that geometry, of course, is a node. Contains parameters that specify where that geometry is going to exist in the world. But it is not the geometry. We step down into it because it's a container. It's like a folder. We step down into it, and then we find other nodes that make up the geometry. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So basically, in this particular case right here, inside here, we might find, or would find, the ball. We'll find the mic, find the stool. How about a camera?
That's right, because you got to look at the scene.
I'll just call it camera 1. And how about a light? So call it light 1, keep it real simple. So objects, okay? That is an object. Now, a lot of these guys are containers that are going to contain specific kinds of nodes. Now, all of these different drawers that you see can open and close, okay? They all contain very specific sorts of information, such as here we are in the part folder, if you will, or the particles drawer.
Okay.
So what kinds of things are you going to find in the particles drawers? We're going to find pop networks, particle networks. So maybe this here is fire. And we'll find smoke. Guess what? These guys are container nodes. That means we can step down into, that means it's like there's a folder in here. So we can pull out a little folder.
Right.
And there's a folder. We open the folder up and we look into the folder and we find the good stuff. What's the good stuff? All the nodes that now make up what that fire, basically how that fire is put together and is going to act and react.
That's right, because essentially you're not going to want all your files just laying around inside the container itself, in the drawer.
And there's a lot of applications out there, 3D applications that you'll work with, where everything's kind of like just in the scene.
Yeah.
Here everything is highly organized, and that is extremely nice. Now I want to be able to demonstrate this to you, so we're going to have to jump over into Houdini here in just a second. But before we do that, I do want you to understand that when you start out with a new scene, you always have the root And then up under the root, you always have OBJ, out, particles, motion and audio, shaders, compositing, and Vex Builder. Okay, those always exist, and they're known as the list type. Okay, and then we can drop down into those, and we start building things. So let's take a look at this. First of all, what would this look like in a file system in Windows? Well, it would look like this. So here we are on F drive. We're going to ignore the letter.
Okay.
And then inside of it, we see folders. So there's the chops, the image, objects, etc. And I can double click to step down into that folder.
I gotcha.
And we can see /OBJ. And so now, of course, we can put things in here. So inside here, what we would actually have would be something like maybe the ball. And notice I made that as a folder.
Yeah.
And another folder that this guy is the stool. And another one, and this guy is going to be the mic.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
These guys have properties. They even have properties here in Windows. These properties, well, the name, okay,
right,
and if it's visible, etc. In Houdini, these object nodes, which are containers, have things like a translate X, a translate Y, as I said a few minutes ago. They're going to say where in the world this geometry is going to appear at.
I gotcha.
So now when we jump down in it, now we're looking at the pieces that make up the ball in this particular case. So if I wanted to come in here and create a new, I don't know, text document, maybe we have a sphere, and yeah, we'll let it change. So there's the sphere, and maybe that sphere went into a, I don't know, come up with something else, a twist. And that twist is used as a squash and stretch. Okay?
Gotcha.
So now we're starting to have these different nodes that exist in a container that's in another container. So at this point, we could say we do indeed have paths that exist. And here's what I mean. I could say that we have, and since we're dealing with the Windows still, I'm going to do /. So we can say OBJ. And from OBJ, we saw that there was a ball. We also had OBJ, because if we were to get a directory listing at the OBJ level, we would see ball, we would also see a mic, and we would see a stool.
Right.
But if we were to step down into, for instance, ball, so there's OBJ, step down into ball, so boom, now we're in ball, with that slash there,
right,
and we were to do a listing, what would we find? We would find these guys. We'd find a sphere and a twist at the moment with my little demonstration right here.
Right.
So I could even say, well, let's step down into the sphere. Okay. Understanding these paths are going to become very, very important when we're going to start writing expressions in the very near future. And when we start writing expressions, you're going to have to start referring to other parameters on other nodes, and you're going to have to tell Houdini what node you're talking about. Where is that node at? And that means you're going to have to understand how these paths work. Okay? So far, what I'm drawing out. Pretty clear?
Oh, yeah. Pretty straightforward.
All right. So let's go ahead and take just a second and jump over into Houdini now.
Okay.
So here we are in Houdini. Now, let's go ahead and make things a little bit more advanced right off the bat. So let's come over here and add a new pane tab, and I'm going to add a text port. Let's jump right into some HScript, baby. Do a little programming. And let's see, over here in my parameters pane, let's add a new pane over here. So let's see, what would be a good one? Tree view would be excellent.
Okay.
So you're going to start recognizing some of the icons that were shown in the last video. You're also going to recognize all of the names as they were just demonstrated back over on the whiteboard. So over here, we had OBJ, out, part, CH, chop, IMG, and Vex.
Right.
And then jumping back over into Houdini, there's OBJ, out, part, chop, Vex, CH. Same stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, look over here. Notice the /.
Right.
Now we're dealing in what looks more like a Unix file system. Now check this out. Let's jump back over here real quick. Now we all know I can type dir and I will get a listing of folders. I'm going to jump over to my F drive real quick and dir, and there's a listing of folders. And remember, on my F drive I had set up a chops folder, an image, etc.
Right.
Now I went ahead and wrote a very simple batch file that allows me to alias dir to ls. ls is a command those of you that use Unix are quite familiar with, to give you a listing of what's in a particular folder. So I'm going to get a listing of what's in this directory. So ls. So let's go ahead and do a CLS. I'm going to clear my screen. So I'm going to use my little command ls. Boom. And there we go. Now take a look at this. Let's jump back over here into Houdini, into the text port, and type ls. Enter.
Hey, cool.
Does that look pretty familiar?
Oh, yeah. Looks exactly the same almost.
Okay, and again, guys, this is completely new for Terry. He's not seen this stuff. So, again, objects, etc., etc. Now, let's go ahead and come back over here. Change directory.
Okay.
Now you're comfortable with working in a command prompt like this, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, this is going to change. If I say change directory, now I don't have to specify a full path, even though it's irrelevant here because I am up at the root. But if I want to change directory to object, I can just say jump into OBJ. Look at that.
There you go.
So now it's updated. So slash, I'm just going to say slash because it's backslashes here, forward slashes there. So let's just say slash OBJ. And now if I do a listing, ls,
hey,
I got a ball, a mic, and a stool.
Cool.
Let's come back over here. Again, where am I at? ls. I am at the root, and I'm looking at object, out part, all the things that we see at the root. And watch this. Let me unpin this guy. And if I come up to the root here, watch what happens down here in my network editor. Boom. Look at that. Image, shop, vex. They're nodes, but they're container nodes.
Right.
Meaning I can jump in. So if I jump into this OBJ right here, watch what happens. I'm in object.
Cool.
So I'm actually in it. So let's go back up to root. So we're all good. So now let's do exactly what we did over there in our command prompt. Change directory, space, and I want to go into OBJ. Enter. And catch my enter. There we go. Path not found.
Yeah.
So why is it not found, Terry?
Because you said OJB.
OJB. CD space OBJ. Exactly. And that also is a very good opportunity for me to point out that this is also case sensitive. One, Houdini cannot read your mind if you spell something wrong, as I did, and Terry was real quick to point out what was wrong. And two, if you use the wrong casing, so if you use all caps OBJ or even just a capital O then a small BJ, you're going to get that the path's not found. Okay, so change directory into OBJ. Enter. And, isn't that fun? It just jumped back over here, and we have a small protocol issue, and something just got mad in our help file. Let's just pretend that didn't happen and jump back over here and hit enter again. Okay?
There we go. Now it's all good.
That's all good. Hey, things like that happen from time to time. All right, so I said, let's pay attention carefully. Change directory into OBJ. Look what it gave me.
OBJ.
/OBJ. Doesn't that look very similar to what we had going on right here?
Oh, yeah.
Now, let me get a listing. Boom.
Very cool.
Look at that. So we've got a ball, a mic, and a stool. When we did a listing in our OBJ out in our Windows file system, we had a ball, a mic, and a stool.
Right.
Very nice. Now, let's change directory, space, ball. So we'll go into the ball. So now our path is /OBJ/ball. Let's do a listing to see everybody that's in ball. We've got a sphere and a twist. Over here, now this is going to be funny because you're only going to see one node here, but let's go ahead and do a change directory into ball. And there, look at our path.
Right.
/OBJ/ball. Let's do a listing. Inside here we have ball. It's a node. It's a digital asset. And inside that node is a network.
I gotcha.
Let's take a look at that. So watch over here. So we're going to go to OBJ. Tink. And now we're looking at what's available in OBJ. In fact, I can open this up. So I'm giving this to you guys visually, text. I'm giving it to you every way you can imagine. So here we go. OBJ, the nodes that exist inside it. And now let's go ahead and go into ball. So open ball up, and there's just ball.
Right.
Now, let me double click on ball over here to actually step in it because we haven't gone in it. We're still at the OBJ level. Look at this. We're still at, our path is at OBJ, OBJ, and highlight it, OBJ. Double click on ball. Now we are inside ball, and we're looking at one object, or one node.
Right.
This is a digital asset, something that we built.
Kind of like what you do with the stool, right?
Kind of like we did with the stool, exactly. So if we were to step inside this, then we're going to see more stuff. So we're going to see the network that actually makes the ball. So I can expand, without jumping into it, I can go ahead and expand over here. Look at that. So even though we know that inside this digital asset we have a network, it's just handled like a bunch of files. Doesn't it look like we're just dealing with folders and files here?
Just like digging through it, looking for a game.
So it's like, we've got group, we've got textures, we've got, there's my sphere, we got a README. So now let's actually go into it. So we'll double click, and now we're actually in it. And if we were to scroll back, there we go.
Nice.
Bunch of stuff just to make a simple ball, eh?
Oh, yeah.
That ball has some parameters and handles built into it so that an animator can easily control it running around, squashing, stretching, and everything.
I gotcha.
And we'll talk about that kind of stuff a little bit later on. But watch this. Over here, where are we at, Terry? What level?
We are in the ball level right now.
Okay. So I want to be able to get a listing and see all of this. What do I need to do?
You need to type in /b. Wait, do you need to change the directory first?
Well, what do you think? Let's get a listing of where we're at. LS.
Okay, we're in the ball. We want to look at you want to look at the lattice. You want to look at the
I want to see all those nodes. I want to do a listing and see all of these. So this is where I want to make sure you grasp what's going on here.
Oh, okay. So you need to change the directory. You need to go into the ball.
Oh, very good. Excellent.
Yeah.
So change directory into ball. How do I type ball?
Just BALL.
Like that?
Yeah.
Enter. And again, lots of fun. I don't know why it's wanting to jump out and give me this with the browser. And let's browser. Go away, please. Hang on, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Please don't come back again. Let's try hitting enter again. Path not found.
Okay.
Why is path not found?
You got me. You tell me real quick.
Well, I just gave you this real quick lecture a second ago about capitalizations. Very important.
Wow. Okay, yeah. I guess that can bite you real quick.
Yes,
real
it can. So what do I need to type?
It's capital B and
so
then
CD,
lowercase LL.
Ball,
yeah.
like such.
Yeah.
And we jump into it, and there we go.
See, that's what was throwing me off is the initial file name was a lowercase ball. And you got to kind of pay attention to that.
That's right. Actually, it was set up as a trap, and it worked quite well.
Oh, you devious man.
Yes. So now our path is, let's take a look here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and clear this.
Mm-hmm.
So our path is, as it says there, starting out at the root, and at the root we can see OBJ, CH, out, etc. Mm-hmm. And we have gone down into the object structure, okay, into the object container. And then we said, what all do we have? And we saw a ball, a mic, and a stool. And then we said, well, change over into the ball. And then we said, all right, what do we have? Well, inside there we just have a ball with a capital B. So we said, all right, go down into there. And what do we have? So now, if we were to do a listing, everything that you see over here,
right,
all of these nodes are going to look like files, and they're all going to be listed out there.
Very cool.
All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So again, we'll type ls, we'll hit enter, and look, sphere 1, twist, transform, a readme, transform, textures, blah, 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 and a final null at the end called ball output.
Very cool.
Okay, so following me pretty good?
Oh, yeah.
All right, now let's talk a little bit about some navigation. So we're down in the ball, and I want to get over into Mike. So hope you guys don't mind. You have your fast forward buttons. If you're getting a little bit bored, you can move forward, but I just want to spend an extra moment and draw this out. So here we are in OBJ, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here we are in ball. Now, we know we've got ball. We've also got Mike. And we also have, what else do we have? Stool.
Yeah, I was going to say there's just a light.
Okay. Now, in this guy, we've gone down a step further into ball.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that I want to jump from here into here. There's a couple of ways we can go about this. I can say change directory, and I can always give the full path.
Right.
Okay, that's very important. You'll hear the term full path come up many times in the future. The absolute path of this guy. So I can say change directory starting from the root. So Houdini knows how to work with you here. It knows that there's only 7 containers that are going to exist at the root. And OBJ is one of them. So start at the root. And then what I want you to do is go down into the mic. And that will take us from this current location into that location.
Right.
Now, we've also seen when working in DOS that we can do things like cd ... You ever seen that?
I can't say that I have, actually.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, see, I grew up after DOS. You have to remember that. Windows 95.
That's cool. I say DOS, command prompt.
Yeah.
We can also do this. I can say change directory. That represents here. So starting here, go up a directory, and then up there, now I can see ball, mic, and stool. Go down into mic. This is going to be really important because we're going to start utilizing a lot of relative paths in the very near future. And with these relative paths, we're going to say, all right, we don't want to be too concerned about things that are way, way up above, but we know that one level above, we have certain nodes that we can expect for sure will be there by a very specific name. So we can simply say, ... go up a level, and then down into that node.
Gotcha.
So this right here will give me the exact same result as this right here. So let's go ahead and jump over into here, and let's try this out. So one, I can now, of course, we're working in Windows, so I could say CD, if I go up a level, okay, notice how it's gone from ball back to object.
Right.
Okay, so now if I say CD back into ball, now let's say CD, and as I was just demonstrating a second ago, so change directory to obj /mic. Okay, now we are in mic as I demonstrated.
Right.
So let's go ahead and change directory using the same full path, obj ball. So we're back into ball. Okay, so that's where we're at. And let's take a look at this other way. Change directory, starting from here, go up a level, / and go down into mic. So that is what I just demonstrated on the board a second ago.
Right.
And we're in mic.
Switches over.
So let's see if that works over here in Houdini, because those dots, again, are going to become very important to us. So as long as this doesn't want to randomly bring the help up, we'll be in good shape. So I'm going to say CD space, first one, full path. So, and check this out. Let's go ahead and point this out. While working over here in the text board, isn't this so nice? We're getting some information in regards to what it is we can type in over here as we go along. So, all right, we want to change directory to where? OBJ. Okay, now we've got some help on how CD works. /. Now, again, Houdini's taking a look at, well, what's valid? Well, we can go into ball, mic, stool. So it gives you those options right there. So let's go ahead and step into mic and hit enter, and we are inside of mic. Okay, so far so good, right?
Yep.
Using the same thing. I know this is a bit boring. I tried to do a /. That's funny. OBJ, but I promise this has its relevance. Let's jump back in the ball. All right, so here we go. Change directory, space, start here, go up a level, and from that level go down into mic. So CD, ... and then down. There we go.
There you go.
All right, so are you starting to get it?
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, let's see, because that was kind of one of those cocky, oh, yeah. So here we go. And you know I've always got something up my sleeve.
Always.
So let's go over into ball, into ball, and into sphere 1.
Yay, because that's fun. All right. So now what are we going to do?
So I want to, without giving the full path, I want to go back into the mic.
Go back into mic?
Into the mic.
Now, okay, no, this is a question. Okay,
no, that's good. I want the questions.
Yeah, the question is that the CD ... you keep going up a level and back into a folder, right?
So CD ...
So can you put more dots after?
Now, okay, see, that's a fantastic question. I was hoping for that. I can't do that.
You can't do that.
But I can, because I can say, change directory. All right, hang on, let me read it out. Start here. Go up a level. And now we're in that folder.
Right.
Starting in that folder.
Okay.
Go up a level. And in that folder. Now, so what do I need to type to get into mic?
All right. So now, you have to type to get into mic, and you are in how many folders? 1, 2, and 3. So you have to have, was it CD ...
Okay.
/
So CD, you got to have a space in there. For those of you that are used to working in a command prompt and you do CD ... with the dots kind of bunched up to it, it won't work here.
Right.
As a matter of fact, watch it change colors to red, indicating that that's a bad command.
It's saying that you're screwing something up.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So space, ... Now what?
// and then ... again. ... and one more /. And then, hold on. See, I got to pay attention here. So, going into mic. Oh, man, this is mind-blowing. Let's do one more, and then a / and then say mic. Yeah, / mic.
Notice how our little IntelliSense that keeps popping up there, as I steal a Microsoft word for a moment, is telling us that now we can go down into mic. See, using that, a second ago it only said ball.
That's right.
When we'd backed out.
That's right.
So if we would have said to go into mic, it wouldn't have worked. So now I could say go into mic. And so here we are telling it to go up a level, go up a level, go up a level, because I was actually down inside one of the nodes. if I would have done a listing in that node, I wouldn't have got anything back because there are no nodes in a sphere node. A sphere node is a generator node. It generates a sphere.
Gotcha.
Okay, it's not a container node that can contain other nodes. So here you go. Very good. So we have managed to walk our way all the way back up.
That's not bad for someone that only knows one command prompt. So CD/Doom2, baby.
So
that's it.
So is this starting to make a little bit of sense?
Oh, definitely. And I also dig the way that it helps you out too.
Yeah, that's going to become very important a little bit later in the future. All right. So let's go over here. Notice how we're down in ball. If we want to go back up to ball, we can simply click right there, and that will take us back up to that level. So a very fast way to get all the way back up to the object level would be to simply click right there.
I got you.
So here we are, our scene view, and inside our scene view with our ball and this guy and this guy. And remember, I said that we had more than just geometry. Is it starting to make sense now? As a matter of fact,
definitely.
even though we're not so much looking at this as a, here's the whole Houdini interface, let's go ahead and take just a second and jump over here to parameters. Now, what kind of node is this right here?
That's the ball node.
It's a
container.
It's a container, but what kind? It's a geometry node. So it contains geometry. It's where our actual model is going to be built inside here.
Gotcha.
Okay. But then up at this level, well, as I jump down, and I just hit U to go back up. So here we are, geometry node. But like I said, it has parameters. These parameters specify where it is going to be at. So let's say I wanted to move the stool. So I'll come grab the stool. Maybe I want to translate him down, so I can come over here and say, move him -0.5 and hit enter, and my stool has just moved down. This isn't my actual geometry. It's a geometry node. It's a container node that contains my geometry, but it is responsible for transforming it, for containing its translate, rotation, scale, pivot, etc. in the world. Along with material-related things, render-related, and some miscellaneous stuff. And we'll start talking about all those good things a little bit later. So let's go ahead and zero that back out. So even though these are container nodes, you now see that these nodes still have parameters.
Right.
Okay? And the actual meat and potatoes is down inside that node. That's where everything gets constructed. Let's jump back over for just a minute to the whiteboard. Let's have just a little bit more fun over here. Let's see if we can close this guy up. So we saw that we've got this scene. And we talked about in the scene, what all did we have? We have geometry and we have materials. And of course, the geometry has to actually be contained in object nodes. Okay?
Right.
So what I want to do now is we'll hide that out. And here we are. We're going to take one final close look at it as a nice recap to this whole thing. So inside of here, let's go ahead and open this up. I've got a few of these things put together for you guys. The geometry looks like this. Bink. If we open up our OBJ, our object folder, or not folder, I mean it's like a folder, but it's the filing cabinet drawer. That's the word I'm looking for. We open up our object filing cabinet drawer and we take a look inside. The things that we're going to find are going to be objects.
Right.
These objects, in the case that I've got drawn out right here, are geometry object nodes. Okay, so with these guys, let's go ahead and come over here to, let's pick on the stool first. Give me something to draw on. We saw that with these guys, we had translate X, translate Y, translate Z. In this case, this is just for the stool, and this is going to specify where the stool is being located in the world. Now, in his particular case, now, is this the actual geometry, Terry?
Is that the actual geometry?
Yeah, this node right here, is this the geometry?
No, that's not the geometry.
No, it's not. Okay, where's the geometry at for the stool?
That's inside that folder.
Oh, very good. So you're starting to pick up on how all this works now. So what we need to do is go inside the stool folder. Now, the stool used to be a digital asset. I tore it out of being a digital asset to help make some of my stuff here make sense. And we'll see in just a second. So inside just stool, we're going to see, you got that guy to that guy. So basically a tube down to a transform into a copy over into a merge, and then we have a torus that's into a transform, and then he gets over here into this and that. So I'll stop right there. So basically we have a series of nodes inside of stool that construct it, but we are a level deeper. So as a matter of fact, to get more specific, we are root, then we went into our object folder or filing cabinet drawer, then we stepped into stool. And then inside here, we took a peek and we found this.
Right.
Let's prove that in Houdini because we've not yet messed with a stool. So coming over here, there's our stool. Let's go ahead and step down into stool. Lo and behold, we have a network. Taking a look at it over here from object into stool, and there's a bunch of nodes.
That's right.
Nice and easy?
Yep.
And again, over in the text port, as I am just really trying to make this as clear as possible, I want to change directory over into OBJ. Let's go ahead and clear out our text port. Change directory. Now check this out. I'm just going to do space because I'm down in OBJ, and I want to take advantage of a folder that's just right here. So I don't have to use any slashes because it's in the folder I'm currently in. So I can just say jump into stool. Boom. So here I am in stool. Give me a listing, and there's a listing of all of the different nodes that are used to construct that guy. Okay? So far, nice and clear?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so jumping back over here. So the stool, simple object, our geometry node, jump down into that object, and there's the SOPs. Okay, these are SOPs, surface operators, that are used for constructing our stool. Okay? Now, with that, let's go ahead and close our stool up. Let's hide it. So now here we're looking at our mic. So let's jump down here to mic for just a second. Give me something to draw on. With the mic, again, once again, he's just an object, and that object has parameters, and these, actually meant Y, and these parameters specify where it's going to be, okay? We jump into this container, and when we jump into this container, what do we find? We're going to find a single node, okay?
Okay.
The single node is going to be a Houdini digital asset.
Ah, gotcha.
And inside that node, then we're going to find the crazy network that makes up the microphone. Okay, so maybe he's into there. Yeah, I'm just making up a bunch of stuff. Branch that off, whatever. Okay, so again, let's go ahead and jump over here and take a look at that. So jumping back into Houdini, let's close up shop here. Let's come up to mic, open up mic, and inside mic, like I said, is a Houdini digital asset. It's called a microphone. If we open that up, inside of microphone, we have all sorts of good stuff. So here we are, mic, right?
Yep.
Double click. Microphone. One node, it's a digital asset. Double click. Now we have a bunch of nodes that make up the geometry. Now, why is having that digital asset so valuable for us? Well, I'm going to hit U to jump back up a level, switch back over to my parameters pane over here. Take a look at this. Bunch of stuff set up over here, parameters, that allow me to adjust the way the microphone looks.
Right.
So in this particular case that I managed to, let's say we're going to show all objects, and I actually did jump all the way over. Get up to object, and let's jump back into mic. Thank you very much. All right, so now I can come in here and start adjusting things like, maybe I want that a little differently.
So wobbly microphone.
Maybe I want the bass a little differently, or maybe real fine control. So a little thicker, a little thinner. Maybe I want the height to be, up or down, so let's go ahead and adjust it for them.
Very cool.
But I have all of these parameters that have been set up that control parameters that are deeper down. Okay, so in these guys, they're receiving information right here. And take a look. This is where you're going to get to see your first peek at stuff, dealing with paths. I'm using a radius to control this guy. Notice I'm using a path right there.
Very cool.
I'm telling it ... slash, and then I'm telling it sphere1 _ radius x.
That's right.
Okay, and we'll start getting into all that, those specifics later. But you'll notice that with those colored indicating there's an expression there, there are a lot of expressions that are used to control this microphone right here. Well, I don't know why I jumped to a merge or a material. Another merge, and output doesn't have anything. Spheres over here with some more. So you can see where paths are going to become very important quickly.
All right.
But as we've been doing all of this talking, let's go ahead and jump back over here to tree view. Close out of that. Close back out objects. Those are the three objects in our scene.
Right.
But we said at the very beginning we had three other things too, didn't we? What else did we have?
You had, what was it, the cameras?
Oh, very good, but we don't have cameras in this scene.
Oh, that's right. You had lighting.
No lights in the scene.
Watch
this. It's all good.
Okay.
Well, what do we know we have to have for sure? Well, we better have materials.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
They've been painted.
Right.
When you build geometry, unfortunately, it doesn't come with pretty faces and wood textures, etc. on it. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to just hide all that out at the moment. And as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and close up our object drawer. take a look at this. So now we're back at the list type. So we're looking at object, out, particles, channels. I'm going to come down to shop and open that drawer. So now we're inside an entirely new area. We're inside of shaders. And inside of the shaders area, we have created 3 different shaders or 3 different materials that are currently being used. So we've got a wood material that is being used on that geometry. We have got a microphone material. To be more specific, we actually have 4. We have a microphone for the body, and we have a microphone for the head.
Oh, yeah.
As you notice, it is a different material. And then finally, we have our ball material over here. Now, those are down inside of shop. So, again, looking at paths, as I continue to just beat this to death, let's go ahead and clear this layer off real quick. So, / shop, / and then in this case, matte wood. So now we were looking at this particular node. Okay. Now, when dealing with shaders, you're going to find predefined shaders that you can't jump into, and then you're going to find shaders that you're going to write yourself that you can jump down into, which we'll discuss that later. But in this particular case, it ends right there. So there is the material for the wood that's being used on our chair down here. Okay.
Gotcha.
So we do see that we've got 3, and as I said in Houdini, we're going to have 4 different things down inside of shops. Let's go ahead and jump over here and take a look at it. So again, let's get our bearings. Root.
Right.
Working our way down. Shops. So these are shaders. Open it up. Look at that. Inside a shader. So if I click right here so that we can look at it down here in the network editor, microphone shader, microphone head, wood, and ball texture 2. What a brilliant name. But nodes that represent the materials that are being used on the geometry over here. So a very important thing to understand is the fact that these guys right here that exist in the shader context is being applied to objects that have been created up here in the object context. So as we work our way deeper and deeper into Houdini, you're going to find yourself working in one context, like let's say particles. And maybe in particles we're going to need to import some geometry that we can use to emit particles from.
Right.
So basically you're going to see yourself working in a lot of these different containers with data that's coming from other containers. So understanding paths is really going to be important. First of all, it's important just simply knowing where you are inside of Houdini. Okay, you can see where, while working here, if I want to work, now I know you don't know Houdini, if I want to work on the stool, I want to modify it. Maybe make the base a little bit thicker or something of the seat. Where do I go right now?
You go to the object one, right?
So I'll go up to object, just like you said. All right, I'm an object. What do I do?
What do you want to do with the base?
Let's say that I wanted to make this guy thicker.
Actually, you know what? It wouldn't matter what you wanted to do with the base because you got to go into the stool.
Ah, very good. So I went up to object. How do I get to the stool?
Oh, click on the stool down there.
They can't see you point here.
You're right.
So I can just double click into the stool, and then now I can come in here and I can begin doing any sort of modifications that I want. So
That's
I could say we're going to come all the way back here to this tube and let's modify at that point or whatever. Okay. So very good. But again, it's not like other applications that you may be familiar with, like in 3ds Max. If you want to modify that, well, you're just going to simply modify it, right?
Yeah.
Here, you need to make sure you're in the right location. It's very important. So in this case, you stepped into the stool, and now you're working with the network that's inside the stool so that you're affecting this guy. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so with that, I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I want to talk about? Let's jump back over to the whiteboard real quick. Not really. A recap, the whole lesson is just dealing with network paths. It's just understanding that kicking off network paths, we first begin with, if I scroll this all the way back up, we simply begin with this guy right here. Every new scene that you create in Houdini always starts out with a list type. You've got your containers for object, for outputs, and that's render outputs, particles, motion and audio, shaders, compositing, and the Vex Builder. Now you can start going into those folders and creating your relevant networks. Okay? Now you will find later on that we're going to be revisiting this entire concept because we can come over here inside of object. Let me give myself something to write on. Hang on one second, guys. Jump up here and that will work. So inside of object, we could come in here. So we're in OBJ, and then let's say that we made some sort of, I'm trying to think of something real quick, a can that's going to explode. So we had a can object. Now we're down into that, so this is a geometry node. Now we're down in it. So in here, what kind of network are we building, Terry?
You're going
to extra credit if you get this right.
You're just building an object, aren't you?
SOPs. We're working with surface operators, right. So we're building a SOPs network. Okay, I knew that was going to be a bit of a challenge, but that's cool. And then in here, one of the things that you can put could be a particle network.
I gotcha.
So it's as if you were working inside here, but you've now contained it in the can.
Ah, I gotcha.
So that if I was to take the can and package this guy up as a digital asset, well, actually, let me correct that. If I take all of the geometry and everything down at this level and package that all up into a digital asset, the particles would stay relative to everything in here.
I gotcha.
Okay, so then I could hand you, as me being an artist, I could hand you a file and say, here you go, it's an exploding can, and then you can simply install it on your Houdini and use it, and it doesn't have to come and worry about putting stuff into, here, putting stuff into here. Maybe we use some materials as well, so down here. Instead, it's all nice and neatly contained in this package down here that is of an object type.
I gotcha.
Okay, and then we went from there into surface types, etc. I think everybody gets it. So this might be a bit confusing to somebody who is weak with understanding file and folder paths, but this is very important. So a couple things to just keep in mind. One, it's where you're at, or if you're referring to somebody else, where they are at. Okay, we saw that we start with root, and then we work down into our list types, and then down to where we're at. We saw that to go back up, dot indicated where we are now, another dot says up a level, and then / and refer to whatever we want that is above us. Okay. We also saw that we can chain those. Where we are, up a level, / where we are there, up another level, / and we can keep doing that to work our way back up when we're inside deep in a hierarchy.
Right.
Okay. So that is Houdini network paths. Let's jump back over here and let's pretend that you guys never saw the tree view, because we'll get to that later. And the text port, you never saw it. Isn't it cool, though, that over here I can just say list and get a listing?
Yeah.
And then I can say cd ... and I can jump up a level and then get another listing. I mean, it's just like you're working in Unix, or very similar to working with a command prompt inside of Windows.
Yeah.
Okay? So again, we never saw that. Back over here with our scene, and back over here with our parameters pane, and select something back up here in object level, so it looks like we never went anywhere we shouldn't have gone. And with that, that is going to conclude this video going over network paths inside of Houdini. Thanks a lot, guys.